I've hit the record button, and to some where's our clapper?
Let me put my Soviet Union hat on.
Hi, my name is Neil Thrussell.
My name is Jamie Adamchuk.
And I'd like to welcome my friend Jesus Garcia, all the way from sunny California.
Thank you, Neil. Awesome, Edmonton. Jamie, where are you from?
I'm from Calgary, so just outside of Calgary in Cochrane, Alberta.
All right, I love Calgary. I love Alberta. I just recently saw Neil. I'm Jesus Garcia. California, sunny it is. A lot cooler. It's really hot.
Yeah. Well, it's good because you were burning up a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So let's just jump right into it. So I know you've had various incarnations of Jesu. So at one time you were a Hollywood actor. Another time, an incarnation of Jesu was a reverend, and now there's a complete new incarnation of what you're creating and building on yourself right here and right now. But what is success to you through all of this?
Well, I'm still a minister, which is great. The acting part is, I think the thing that I'm learning to accept the most is change. Change is going to make you move, or you'll default. Based on my experience, I'm speaking of. If you don't make a change and go like, you can't be like a salmon because he goes against the water and dies at the end. You got to go with the stream. I wonder why they can't give birth going downstream, but or lady egg. Somebody dies. They die when they go up against.
Yeah.
But I say, I love what JR says, which is spirit meets you at the point of action, and it doesn't meet you at the point of emotional flooding. And emotional flooding or emotion is what gets people in trouble. It gets me in trouble. When I say you, it's really me. It gets me in trouble because if I lay down, which is what I'd love to do, and go to sleep and sink in some foxhole and let God do it for me, then that's not going to happen. So every day I hear a voice that says, get up. And I get dreams and messages that show me that I'm coming out of it. But you come out of it by making action, movement. I think we were we're totally spiritual beings, and we were given a physical body to really work it down here. And sometimes the body's beat up. I'm telling my people. I think that people. The body is, I lost John Rogers 2 years ago. It never goes away. It's like somebody ripped your arm off and half your leg off, and you have PTSD for sure.
So just a second, for those that don't know, John Rogers was the spiritual founder of an organization called MSIA, or Messiah, and Jesu was the personal assistant and caregiver for John Rogers in his last 25 years.
I was his driver. He wasn't always unhealthy. The last 7 years it was, but he was. I drove him. Thanks for the update. I'm assuming everybody knows. He helped me a lot in the. He was very clairvoyant. He'd tell me, don't see that person because it would be a waste of time. He used to say that a shortcut to the answer is to ask the teacher. But he's the teacher. You ask it, you shortcut. You don't have to he was furious. Like if you're in a relationship, you're about to go into a marriage, you can ask him and say, is this worth it? And he'll basically go, this is not good for you. Get out or get in. And he was just a great flag, like one of those Chesterfield flag guys in race cars, races. But I was his right hand. I did correspondences. I helped in the organization. drove, and I learned a lot of things that, as a young guy, I really didn't care in my 20s. To like profound things. So after he passes away, all the profound things that I was a fly on the wall, and other times I was participating in, is very relevant right now. As it is right now, I was talking. I have a jukebox in my head, and it's all his greatest hits.
Sweet. So that's a good segue. Well, we could make this a segue. So you started out as an actor, and you were blessed with landing a role in Nightmare on Elm Street, and then from there, somewhere you got involved. You took a detour in life. But let's work on, to get this Nightmare on Elm Street role, you had to profoundly deal in some of the 4Ds. You either had to be dedicated, you had to have the desire to be an actor, the discipline to do it, or the determination. What is it that got you this first role?
All of it. I'm glad you used the D's. There's also a whole lot of other alphabets, like the F, like damn it. But those, I would say, never give up. Hill's books and all these other great people, and of course, with the 4Ds, is you can't give up. Determination is on fire. It's like that is the key to success. Not giving up. He wins who endures to the end. It's even in the Bible.
Sweet.
And I think I got to be honest with you. I had so many auditions, nothing happened, and it seems like God gives you what you want or something like that at the 11th hour. At 11:59, you give up at 11:58. God comes around 11:59, and at 12 o'clock it strikes, and you're back on top again. So I think the lessons for me were, don't give up. Actually, write it to the end. Write it to 11:59.
Sweet.
And because and then you got to be careful that when you do give up, meaning you're on the Ali's world, you're on the mat. I like to lay on the mat for a while, and then I finally get up. I think as you get older, it gets harder to get back up, and you need to bounce up like there's no tomorrow. Because if you stay down too long, you can count yourself out. You must have that inner crank, like those old 40s cars.
Yeah.
You must, but it does require dialogue with the higher source, whatever that is for people. For me, it's God and Jesus, JR, and I have a dialogue as I'm down. And then it's like, get your ass up. And I do give myself, my discipline is, I don't critique myself more than 2 minutes. And then it's over. I must move. I will move. And then I tell the mind and the emotions to shut up. And I make them my servant. The trick is to not let aside from the 4D, not to let the inner mental chatter drive you down. You've already got enemies in the world. You don't need it inside.
Sweet.
That's generally mental chatter. You're not going to make your blah, blah, blah. It comes from families and friends, but you end up recording it, you're unconscious, and you just self-attack yourself, self-psychic attack, we call it.
Yeah.
I love that. That's very profound, that there's enough enemies outside of you that you don't need to fight the enemy within. Very, very, very profound.
That's what the Bible was talking about. You must keep that. That's your church. That's your temple, or Buddhist. The temple is inside. It must be clean. You can have all sorts of wars on the outside, but you cannot war inside.
And that works perfectly with a 5D that we keep as in our little inner pocket. The 5D is that dojo, keeping the dojo of yourself, your inner self, keeping, and you use the word clean.
That's a great term.
Thank you. And it's about keeping your inner dojo clean. physically, mentally, spiritually, you're taking care of yourself is your inner dojo. And it's fun how you picked it up or led into it we didn't even talk about it prior. So thank you.
Yeah. No, I think you should enter that. Dojo is very familiar in the martial arts, and that's exactly it. You must take your shoes off, and it's, rice paper floor, and it must be kept clean. I know Japan very well. And that is inside your heart and inside where the seat of the soul is back behind your eyes, between your ears. And that's where the observer is the listener. Take it easy. And then tell the mind, you must have mental dominion right here.
Yeah.
So it must run the show here presently. So the 5-year-old Neil and the 5-year-old Jesus cannot run this Zoom conference right now.
Correct.
Yep.
Later on, when we're alone, we might screen and both do what we want to do. But right now, it's the conscious self, and that's the observer, and the high self is that spiritual being that gives great advice.
Thank you. So you've gone. So then, at some point in time, since I know you, you made an active choice to move towards leaving acting behind, and I'm not saying it was easy, but you made a choice. So of the 4 Ds, was it your desire to change your life, or was it your discipline, determination that you wanted something different that this new life would offer? What was it in you that chose to say that acting has been a good gig and it's been fun, but I now need to do this?
I think I love what Abraham Lincoln talks about, the better angels. I think we have bad angels and good angels, and the better angel actually chose. I know that I was seeking. I know that the successful people are seekers, and whether we seek experience. And my experience I wanted was love. I'm just a sucker for love. Mm. And I wasn't finding it. And then when you're young, you're experiencing things. You think that love is sex. You think then that love is attention and being worshipped in the movie business. And then, when you attain certain success, you go, well, that comes and goes like going to the toilet. It comes and goes. It isn't sustainable. And then, then there's drugs. That's not sustainable. So I constantly seek that which can give me a longer high. Mm. And I think closing my eyes and going in the inner is probably the best. And then when you come out to the world, you can participate and have love and do sex and be with a partner. But if you don't grab the source energy from within, but you grab from without, you're a lost cause, because that's what happens to a lot of actors. We're being stimulated from the outside in rather than the inside out.
Sweet. So, Jamie, you got anything to add into this?
I absolutely do. Learning and getting to that point where you could reach inside, is that something that just happened for you? Was it a learning progress? What can you share with us about that? The
truth of the matter is you cannot do it alone. You need a teacher, a master. I love reading traditional heritage stuff. You can't go higher than the master you're learning from, mm-hmm. and you can't go lower than the one you're teaching. So you're constantly seeking to go higher and higher and higher forever. Mm-hmm. So what you seek is, immediately I seek Christ. It can be Muhammad. I don't really care. They're all prophets to me. But the source is God. Use the prophet that you're most connected with, mm-hmm. Buddha, whoever, and then use the closest thing in this physical world that you're connected to. So if it's your work, if it's what you're doing with Neil, and then that's that's what is the catalyst to the source. But when you're starting out young, you don't know. You know, you're like, okay, so a woman is hot. That's my source. And then
Yes.
and then you want to go higher. So, you know, then you keep going higher, and then you meet some guy like JR. You do a 7-day training, you meet him, and you're going, wow. Because if you can recognize that you have it inside you, there is nothing you don't have inside you that you see on the outside. So it's all reflective. That's psychology 101. It's all projection. So therefore, if I saw it in my teacher, then I'm like, wow, I want to attain that. So you hang around him all the time so that reflects back.
Yes.
Or I love what JR says, love the one you're with.
Yeah, yeah.
So the spouse, whoever it is, or your children, are a mirror reflection to the source.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And it really sounds like the key to all of this is to first off be open to it. Yeah. Allow yourself to be open, to grow. You used change earlier on. I love that. Be open to the change.
Yes. And I love what JR puts it in these terms. It's called the divine unknown. There's like the knowable, the unknowable, and the not knowable. I mean, I'm screwing up this one. But it's like, is that a doorbell?
Yep.
Is that yours?
Yep.
Okay, good. But anyway, it's like there's known things, and then there's, I think I heard Will Smith talk about this parachuting thing.
Yes.
Kind of really smart, where you create fake fear to the point that you're to jump out the plane, and then you realize there was never fear to begin with. It was all this anxiety of the future.
Yes.
And I think that change is good, and we're afraid of it. And there's a lot in here about courage for me, because I'm actually, you know, in some ways I grew up very cowardly and afraid, and I something inside of me puts me in positions of bravery, if not stupidity. You know, constantly, I make up a challenge so I can overcome it. There's that factor too, that a lot of people create obstacles to overcome, and it's their own dojo. They created their own dojo and their own enemies, and when they overcome it, they give themselves a nice pat on the back and a trophy. Nobody was attacking them except themselves. So it's a kind of a man-made, in a sense, you know, it's right, because in some courses, especially Insight, they tell you 3 things. To get you away from being a victim, how did you promote it, allow it, and create it? And apart from change, it's a sister cousin to change, is the acceptance by completely owning everything.
Yes.
When you completely own everything, nobody can screw. Sorry.
Yep.
Nobody can screw with you. See, you're the master of your domain. You created it. You did it, and now get out of my house. Because see, then if JR says, and I believe it, if you can name it, you have dominion over it. Too many people are fearful, and they run to the corner with victimness and go, oh, no, they did it. Well, as long as you do that, you can't move. But life's moved on without you. So what happens is, blow up these crystals that you surrounded yourself with, and say, for the last 2 years, I completely, people have someone pointed fingers at me after the master has passed. And I said, you know what? If you had anything to say, you should have said it when you lived. Right now, I don't accept your crap, but I own it all.
Yep.
I don't accept, I have my boundaries. You can't smack me. I won't allow that. So that's taking care of yourself. The other part is I own it all. And then it's my karma, and it's mine to eat. You can't take that away from me. I do ask God for, meaning, but you must accept it. You must own it all. But there's also, you can't be over responsible for things that are not in your canvas of karma.
Yeah. So it's really a little bit about recognizing what you can own, and when you understand that there's a certain portion of that you have to own, because without owning it, isn't it true that you're giving away your personal power? So by stepping into it, by owning it and say, you know what, whether the outcome is bad or not, I've made this choice, I've made this decision, I'm dedicated to this outcome, I'm going to own it.
And there's an old saying from JR that said, dishonesty forfeits divine aid. Mm. So it is not just that. There must be honesty in your awareness of what you see. You can't deny. When you become a denier of your own existence, it's hard. It's hard to really. If all of us right now don't accept that we're looking at a screen on a computer, somebody's crazy. Mm-hmm. So we all agree that the lights are on, and we're all agreeing that we're all looking at each other on Zoom, then we're on the right path. But if one of us goes, that's not true, we're not there, then we need to run away from that person, because that person can't see the light. Because when all of us, generally spirituality is a very universal thing. Love it hits you, me, and Neil, and everyone else. And for someone to go, oh, no, I don't get it, then they've blocked it.
Yeah.
And that's a very hard person to change or want to change. And that's where JR also says, which I love, the best thing you can do for people is leave them alone. It's completely contradictory, because, yes, you're right. You're not, I'm dealing with my girlfriend whose father has cancer, and I cannot save her. She has to do it. It's her life. I can only be there to hold and love her. Mm. And of course, all men want to come in and save the world. Well, yes. And that's where we get in trouble karmically. It's karma.
Yep. So, what is your definition of success? How do you measure that you are successful?
Here's what I do. Part of my practical treatise was, if I can complete 3 things in my day, every day, that's my success. And I take, other universities call it 3-foot tosses. I'm not going to use that term. My success, which I wrote it down in my treatise, was, if I can complete 3 things a day, I'm happy. And part of the success starts small. JR used to say, if it's this big, it'll be that big. If you don't handle it. So if you don't handle the cancer and it's that big, you'll die. If you don't handle the thing, you'll die. If you want to do it, you'll be big. So if you can do discipline in the little things, you'll be given more responsibility to run things. So my thing is, right now, currently I'm moving from one house to an apartment. I give myself 3 things to do. I will do this, and this, and I follow through and I do it. There's nothing more important than keeping your word to yourself. You can lie to people, but don't lie to yourself. So if I say, I'm not going to eat ice cream, I'm going to work out, you better do that. Yes. The rebel in you is not going to believe it. So it's really a relationship between myself, where I can look myself in the mirror and go, I love you, man, and go to bed. That's all I got. And then they give me big responsibility, Spirit does. But all I care about is 3 things I can do today. And that's success to me.
Sweet.
Keep all my responsibility, pay my taxes, little dumb things, pay my bills. They really, some people go, oh, no, what? Well, that's it. That's where you get caught. If I don't keep my credit card bills down, you know what I mean? All these little things that I say I'm going to do, I better do. Mm-hmm. Yes. Or renegotiate. You got to renegotiate inside yourself like you renegotiate with the creditor.
Yep.
Otherwise, those demons come out. So that's my success. It's basically, it's not so much in like movie sales, book sales. I got 5 cars. It's like will I keep the tank above half, or will I let it go down to the yellow light again? That really pisses me off. I love keeping my gas up. You know what I mean? It's like little dumb things that people say it's dumb, but if something comes in my inbox, I must handle it.
Yep. Sweet. So if somebody is just starting out, I'm just starting out and I've got this dream and I want to be successful and I've got this desire, whatever my dream is, and I'm a young person, what would you advise them and inspire them? How would you, or what would you say to them to motivate, inspire them for success?
Well, I do love every person I've talked to, rich people and all that. You got to make it at least 50% believable. It's got to be at least 50%. The discipline I was telling you about before is super important. If you can, simple stuff. If you can every day read something, and keep a discipline going, it'll just transfer to the success. So if you're a slob in the beginning, you're going to be like that as a successful person. Sorry. And that might hurt you. So the other thing is, I love collages. Pinterest is a good thing to do. You take photos of what you can possibly attain. And then you create a map of, which could be lines, and write on it. And you can write on it. You got to, all success, if you're God and you're the architect of your success, write it down first as a blueprint. Get an idea. And that requires photos and stuff so you can send energy to it. And one of them is like, what are your next steps? You can write down at least 5 things. Well, I'm going to do this and do this, and I'll do this tomorrow. And do that. So if you follow first steps to get to that thing, and you have a collage, and then you always ask God for the highest good. I love that, because you don't, if I say to myself, oh God, I want a house, please give me a house, I better be clear about what house I want.
Yeah.
Because you might get a money pit and you'll be dead in the hole. And God will give you what you want, including the bad shit.
Yep.
Yeah. Better say, like a house, very low maintenance, 2-bedroom. And it'd like to be up on the hill, like the Japanese portrait, and things like that. Other than that, or I like a woman, I like a relationship, be about this and loving. And above all, Napoleon Hill, everybody talks about it. You got to love what you do. So say you pick what you want, and you're young and you want to have a successful. Don't get in a job you hate and think you're going to be successful. You got to be, and I know there's people that don't like Trump or hate Trump or whatever. There's a lot of people like him that love what they do. And look at them. Just, whether he's right or wrong, I'm not endorsing him or anything. I'm just saying he's a good example of someone that goes after what he wants because he loves it, right or wrong. And by the way, there's a million of guys like him. Steve Jobs was the same. He just loved what he does. He does the quiet one. He's a tough guy. They wrote books about how tough he was. But we're talking about what you love to do. So find what you love first, not. And people always use this excuse. Oh, when I get money, I'll start doing that.
Yeah.
And no, start doing that now. Quit your job. I don't want to start trouble. But I think I heard Jared's quote. I read Jared's quote today, which is, if you're doing something you don't like, either change your attitude or quit.
Yes.
Because you're just creating cancer. You're creating disease.
Yes.
You're hating your life. And I don't want to all of a sudden 1 million people quit. But I would go after, sometimes it's duty for your wife and kids. And then other times it's like, no, I'm going to take care of myself. We're going to be living in a smaller place now. Mm-hmm. And we're going to be all doing what we love to do. And it starts with the leadership of the man in the family. It can be the woman. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying I'm not chauvinistic at all. I've read Bibles and things like that. I think the man is the priest in a lot of ways in the household. So is the woman. And one takes the lead. What does that lead? A happy home.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever it is, takes the darn lead. And that means even someone starting their career now. It starts at home. How are you doing? How are you taking care of yourself? Are you yelling at your wife and yet still wanting to be famous? You know, it really is like there's a giant recorder in your house, and it's called a karmic board. And it records. And sometimes you're working stuff out between the family, and then you're looking together at what you want. And sometimes that's the key thing, is how to do it in pairs. Because one spouse could be terrified of risk, and the other one isn't. So it's really talking to each other's baby inside of each other to really go for it and really live life loving it. And I'm speaking from experience, because right now I'm minimizing everything, living in an apartment, super cheap, so I can travel.
Yes.
Because I love traveling. I don't want to buy a house and spend the rest of my life paying a mortgage I can't maintain.
Yes. So, Jamie, you look like you wanted to say something.
No, just, you know what, sharing that, I can completely understand when we talk about, you know, quitting that job, and we're not advocating here for people to go out and quit their jobs, but when you're in something, and I speak from personal experience on this, when you're in a place where, you know, you're not being fulfilled, you're maybe going in that job, and sure, maybe the money's great, you're paying the bills, you're doing all these things, but there's so much more out there than money. You know what? Look inside yourself, find that happy place, ask yourself the question, you know what, is this the right thing at the right time for me? And get honest. And that's one thing, you know, that you shared with us, is be honest with yourself. Don't placate yourself. Don't give yourself those BS answers to make yourself feel good. Give yourself the truth. So I want to honor you for that, because when you shared that, it's like, wow, it's like you're speaking from my shoes. I've been there, and the best thing I could have ever done was make that change.
Right on. And there's JR talks about every 7 years, you know, the life cycle. Just do your 7 years, just a simple 7-year cycle. There's a great book called Personology. You can study about your personality, so you know your traits, so you don't judge yourself so much. And but it's exactly what you said. I'm on board with what you're saying, 100%. That you just gotta. It's all about looking. That's why I turned away from acting, because I'm going towards a place that I want to be happy. I actually, when I looked at it, the last several years of acting, I was not happy. And what do I want to do? I'm 53 years old. And you know what? The older you get, the more, like, I'm a rip this. You know, I was tough when I was 19, and I went after acting. Now you're even tougher when you get older.
Yeah.
You're like, I've only got so many heartbeats, so many breathings. We're going to do this now.
Yes.
Yes.
And you get everybody on board with that enthusiasm.
Absolutely. So I'm thinking that we're probably pretty close to a close. If Jamie, you got anything you want to end with or add to?
Hey, wait 1 second. You go next. But I thought the synergy of the three right now, and two or more gathered, that's what I love. So some juice just got unleashed right now. And so go for it.
Yeah, sweet. And I agree. It is collectively, when people are working together, it just goes. So yes, good observation. Thank you, Jesse. I mean, I'm sorry. I've been trying to call you Jesus all along, but
Call me whatever. I think that you bringing it together like this, and Jamie's really some nice energies just happen. I just felt it come in.
Yeah.
So yes. So thank you, Jesus, for being part of this.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm going to hit this.
Want to say something?
No, I think this is great. Just, you know, the energies of us coming together. You know, it's the power of three. All of us, just, you know, individually we can do so much, together as a group, that collective, we can do so much more. And that's what's special. So when you felt that energy and you shared that with us, I could feel that too, because it's this collective, it's this momentum, this forward movement that we're creating right now. This is what it's all about. This is what we came for.
Thank you so much for the call, guys. I'm totally ripped right now. And I'm feeling good to go on and go move and do what I got to do.
Thank you.
Outstanding.
So thank you.